It's Melanie speaking. Morris, that was fantastic. I scored a 66 on the Rotes and Van Hill scale, which I thought was sort of, a little bit above middle ground, but I still have an overwhelming desire for you to finish that happy birthday song on a different note, and that feeling is still sitting with me. So I'm thinking that maybe my 66 score should actually be a little bit higher. But yeah, some really interesting tools and thoughts there to take away. I am wondering if so I get the kind of question I'm going to give you is a similar question that I get from other people about all sorts of different topics. And they go, okay, I get this idea of closure in this example. So now what do I do instead of that? And sometimes I say, sometimes it's not about having an exact solution that you can take away now. It's about the awareness in every situation and thinking on how you can accommodate that in each little situation. So sometimes the awareness brings the answer rather than being me giving you an answer.
Right.
Having said that, I'm still I'm wondering if, so we got the beautiful example of, we think that you might be thinking that you're going to die when you graduate, or everyone in your classmates are going to die in the coming months. And you held a reunion, so to let her know you don't die, they just go somewhere else. But they're still there doing their own thing, but somewhere else. Could you give us some other examples for the ones that you talked about a possible resolution in those situations, or possible examples?
Sure. So one of the things I think is really important is not to expect students to do work over and over again that they've mastered. That's something I see a lot, and maybe you don't, and hopefully you don't, but I see that a lot in school programs. And even worse, and this is just, and I hate to talk about this because it's bad practice to use negative examples, but I'm going to say it, where a child does, like, say they do a puzzle, or they're putting something in blocks in a can or something, whatever it is, a well-meaning person, adult there, takes it, says, good work, and dumps it out and gives it right back to the child and says, now do it again. Now that sounds like something that should be forbidden by the Geneva Conventions or something, but I think it's important that we never do that to children, that when they have mastered a skill or an activity, it's done and they don't have to do it anymore. Or maybe they do it every once in a while just to make sure that they still remember it. I understand that, but it's the equivalent of turning in an assignment and getting it back graded, and as long as you passed it, you don't do that assignment again. I understand why teachers do that. There's sometimes when you just, I know I was a teacher. You have a lot of things going on, and maybe you have a problem that you just have to deal with. And sometimes it's very easy to just give a student something that they can do. They'll keep them quiet and busy, and and it satisfies this need that you have as the teacher right at that moment. But I think that that what I've spent the past 30 years as a technical assistance specialist helping people know or figure out is, if a student can do if the student has mastered a skill, then what's the next thing? What's the next higher skill or knowledge or whatever that the student needs? And so helping them identify that so that they don't get stuck doing the same thing over and over. So the most important thing I think we can do is is not expect students to do the same thing over and over and over and without finishing it. But I do think that we can look at the school day differently, and we can build in opportunities for closure. So, or if not, if we can't build in opportunities for closure, we can at least address it. And if a student is working on that Braille cell puzzle on the floor, and it is time to go to recess, and this child has to go outside, I would let the child know it's going to stay right here. We will not touch it. And when you come back, you can go right to the puzzle and finish it and then put it away. And so make sure that's in the calendar box. So if the calendar box said that after recess was going to be the motor room, before the child goes to recess, we go to the calendar box and we show them, okay, we're going to make a little change here. Right after recess, you're going to go back to the puzzle, and then you're going to go to the motor room. So we can be more, I don't know if the word is empathetic, or just more aware of how these seemingly insignificant moments throughout a child's day can cumulatively create huge amounts of stress. I hate to think that we as teachers are major contributors to the stress that the children are feeling, but I think in this case, I think we are. I think we don't think enough about this idea of closure and how it impacts children and young adults every day. I hope, Melanie, does that answer your question?
I think so. And, I'm just thinking back through, my own experiences. And I remember a time where we were sharing an activity, and we did finish it, and we celebrated finishing it. And I was aware of this need for, I guess, repetition to consolidate the learning, to, just go, right, yeah, let's go through then those things that, we took a little while to do. Maybe we can do them faster now. But I was thinking those things in my own head, but all I communicated to the person I was working with was, wow, yay, let's do it again. And her mum said to me, she said, now she will think that she has done it wrong because you're doing it again. I was like, oh, okay. And I said, well, how about, can we do it faster? Let's do it again. It's all great. Can we do it faster? So adding, if we're feeling that the repetition is necessary for mastery, adding that slightly different detail or expectation in there, it's the same task, but we're doing something different, a little bit different about it. And yeah, so that's sort of one example that I remember, that if I'd communicated, yeah, great, let's do it. Can we, you want to do it again with me, but we'll see if we can do it faster. Yeah. Or something different, or we're going to do it again, but we're going to start with this one, or
That's a great example. And in the way that we generalize skills, we always say you want to do a skill in a different location with different people at a different time of the day with different materials. There's and you could build that into what that example you're giving as well, like doing it at a time that they don't expect during the school day, or with somebody that isn't you, or whatever it is, to make it a little bit different.
Yeah.
Right. Melanie, that's such a great example. And thank you for sharing that. This idea that the child might have perceived it as, oh, I did it wrong, so you're asking me to redo it. which is what, of course, who wouldn't think that? If you're at work and you write a report and it gets sent back and says, do it again.
Yeah.
You say, well, what was wrong with it?
Yeah. Yep.
Nothing. We thought you enjoyed it so much. We thought you'd enjoy writing.
You want to write it again. Yeah, yeah. And again, that was all in good intent, and I thought I had, a very sound logic in requesting that. But again, that awareness, was provided to me by the mum, but sometimes there's not that person there to provide that check. And I always say, if you see a reaction from a person with deaf blindness that seems illogical, it's because you don't understand the logic, not because they're being illogical. So you've got to seek the reason and the logic there. Yeah. So our audience has been very quiet, which I think is often sometimes a really good sign, because they're kind of deep in thought. Then they're like, yes, I have this question, but actually you've answered it. You've already answered it. I just need to think about it a bit more. But I'm going to send you a hard one, because I know people will ask me. So if I can have your answer, I know it will be so much better than mine. That suitcase with all the technical digital equipment in it, not being the toolkit for closure. Would there be any other tips or insights to going, okay, if I was just going to put one thing in that suitcase, what would it be?
Ooh, that is
I know, and it's a hard one. You can send that right back to me. I know.
well, it's not a thing.
Mm.
And David thought that was very funny. He said, "You watch, people are going to say, oh, you should market this closure kit and sell it on Amazon, and everybody will buy it, and it will solve the problem." Because teachers love things like that. But
yeah, it'd be top tips, or a checklist for yourself. How
exactly.
am I offering child closure?
And there could be I mean, you could do a checklist, but I guess the one thing that I stress often more than anything else is that I think that many children and young adults who are deafblind perceive the world as a very chaotic place. They perceive it as chaos, even though we know it's not. And so my job as a teacher is to say, look, this is how we sign in the US. This is how we sign. Pay attention. Pay attention. Like all of this has meaning. And I am trying to take this thing that you think is utter chaos and make it predictable and meaningful. And so my job is to out of chaos create some kind of order for the child. And we do that through predictability and routines and calendars and schedules and all those things. So I guess that if it's one thing, and Melanie, that was a really hard question, but is this idea that we have to make sure that the child understands that the world is not as chaotic as they perceive it, that we have a plan. I mean, sometimes it goes off the rails, but we have a plan for what's happening. We're in control of this, and we have to communicate that in any way we can to the child, so that they feel secure and comfortable and sort of accepting it from us. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, it's at the core of everything we do in deafblindness. I understand that. I mean, so we're talking about big issues here. Yeah. But just like this is not chaos. Touching my name cue has me, this, I'm telling you something. The calendar is telling you something. The environment is telling you something. I mean, it's like it's all working together. Yep. To take chaos and make it orderly as possible.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Have you done this, presented this to families before, and have they had any particular reaction to it, or questions or comments?
I have, and they do have reactions, and I mean, I'm a teacher, and I assume most of the people involved in this webinar are educators of some sort, at least the ones that are watching live. But family members have come up to me and said, "Oh my gosh, what you're talking about really resonates in terms of how our family functions." and the things that we do for our other kids that provide opportunities for closure, our child who's deafblind doesn't get. And they say now we can imagine our other children, you know, they have all these experiences in school that the child in the special ed program has a really different experience with. So yeah, families have said, "Oh my gosh, these are all the things we can see we're doing that are preventing this child from experiencing satisfactory closure." But, and here's a bit important distinction, is I cut families a lot of slack. I don't know if that's an expression you use in Australia, but I mean, I expect a lot more of teachers. I tell families, do not beat yourself up over this. If you've been doing something that now you think, oh, that was a really terrible idea, or, you know, I've been causing my child to live in an ambiguous environment and have all this stress and anxiety. It's like, well, okay, so now you know you can make little changes. You know, I'm much easier on families. I'm not at all easy on teachers, because teachers can change if they want to.
Yeah.
Even if it's just baby steps.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have an interesting comment to challenge order and predictability from our audience. So chaos is good sometimes. For instance, our universe would not have evolved or expanded if it would not have started as chaos. Chaos can lead to beautiful creations, as too much order is boring and can be stagnant. I think, did you want to?
Yeah, I don't, you know, again, we're on a spectrum, and believe me, I understand that. I grew up in the 1960s. Everything was beautiful. You know, it was the era of flower children and free love, and, you know, the age of Aquarius, and whatever happened. And I had a lot of friends who were who were probably less impacted by the need for closure and less ambiguity than I was. You know, just like, whatever, you know, whatever happens, it's going to be beautiful, and we go with the flow, and all these things that they used to say. Me, not so much. I was the one who said, no, we were planning on having margaritas on Friday night after work, and now you're saying at the last minute, let's go to the beach and watch the sunset. And it's while that's a lovely idea, it's not what I had planned in my head, and I've been looking forward to it. And I'm not flexible enough to go to the beach right now. I have to go have margaritas.
And I bought all the ingredients.
That's right. That's right. I've been thinking about it all week. So I'm glad that whoever wrote that, I'm glad they wrote that, because it is a spectrum, and chaos does serve a purpose, but it doesn't serve a lot of purpose in my life. I can take a little bit of it, but eventually I have to, you know, figure out a way to make order out of chaos as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, you know, if the person with deafblindness that you're supporting is experiencing the chaos with you, and they trust that I don't understand it. I don't want to understand what's going on, but you're with me and I know that you will keep me safe.
That's
Even
right.
if I don't understand it now, maybe soon I will, or even if I don't, I'm going to be safe with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And these, it can happen I mean, you can be on a city bus and the bus breaks down and you don't end up going where you're going. And the next thing you know, you're standing on a sidewalk that you're not familiar with and you're trying to figure out what you're going to do. The main thing is to make sure that the student or the students that you serve who are deafblind are as knowledgeable as possible about everything that's happening, that they understand it all, so that they can be involved as much as possible in the chaos, and it can enjoy it along with everybody else.
Yep.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Maurice, for sharing that. And I guess taking me through a lot of reflection about my own experience and helping me reflect back on situations that I didn't understand the outcome in for myself, but for my own clients, and relating that back to, okay, let's view that through a lens of lack of closure, for example, and then some answers start to present themselves, or more theories start to present themselves if you recast your view with that perspective. So it's been a wonderful experience. I invite any last minute comments from our very shy or quiet or pensive audience. I'm hoping that in my cheeky way, I can get Maurice to sing the happy birthday song while people are doing the feedback with a different ending. Would you do
No,
that with Maurice?
you wanted a satisfying end?
I do, please.
Okay, before I do that, I'll just say I'd love to hear from people. So if you have questions or comments after this is over, please feel free to email me anytime. I'm very accessible. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Melanie. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Yeah.
The woman who taught me that was deaf. She didn't even hear it, but she knew what it did.
Yes.
Yeah. She thought it was hysterical.
And now I can relax. I feel so much
Yes,
more
now you
relaxed.
Yes.
So thanks
Great.
again,
Thank
and
you.
farewell.